All right, we're about to start the body copy thing. Emmerich says, but bullets are a really great way to practice copy ultra fast at scale. Yes, they're little microcosms of copy that you can punch through. All right, 30 minutes starting now. This is what we're working on. You should be writing. If you need to mute me, please do. But I'm going to be talking through how I would think about these subconscious objections along with the active answers that can somewhat answer them. I've already talked a little bit about this isn't right for me and going with logic, but just in the interest of being complete, I will start with it. If a prospect is saying to themselves, this isn't right for me, and I'm imagining myself as that avatar, I'm going to try to complete the sentence of like, this isn't right for me because, or this isn't right for me around. And so I'm going to try to hear their justification. This isn't right for me. If I'm thinking about my copywriter, my working copywriter person, then this isn't right for me because I haven't gotten any results, or like my clients that I've been working with haven't given me any feedback on my copy, so I don't really know how good I am, and that makes me feel like I can't charge more money for what I'm doing, but I feel kind of caught in a catch-22 on like, if they won't give me results, I don't know how good I am, but if I'm not working with good enough clients that they're going to give me good results and stuff like that, and so I kind of feel trapped, and that's why I don't think this is right for me, because I'm caught in that catch-22. And that's just something that came up in my head as I was thinking about them justifying that objection in their mind. And so logically speaking, I can come at it and answer it. I don't have to directly say, hey, this is right for you because because people who are actively working as copywriters sometimes don't get the results and then they feel lack of confidence. I don't have to do that. I could come at it directly like that if I wanted to be a little bit ham-fisted about the subconscious objection. But usually what I do is I start talking about others or talking about like commonalities or compare contrast. I like doing that. So if I were to logic my way and answer this logically, this isn't right for me because I'm in a catch-22. Then I would go, well, so one thing that I hear a lot from freelancers is that they don't feel comfortable charging high rates because they don't have any results to lean on. Like they're saying that they need a big result or they need a big client or both in order to justify higher prices. And there's a little bit of truth to that, because like doing good results tends to get a certain amount of attention, or working with a certain client tends to get a certain amount of attention, but it's only useful for that attention. It's only useful for that initial snap. And people pay attention to things for different reasons other than results. And so if you're thinking the only way to get the attention of the right person is to have a result, you're sticking yourself in this own box. Whereas you're a copywriter, you know that there's lots of ways to get people's attention, and you know that there's lots of ways to talk to different levels of awareness. But the interesting thing is, especially with what I'm talking about here, the best way to get people's attention is to publish good, smart, authoritative content that is also a little bit entertaining and kind of gives a little bit of piece of your brand. If you are seen as an expert because of what you're publishing and the insights that you're giving, you can take the insights from your existing clients. You can take the insights from the projects that you've worked on, the research you're doing, the courses you're taking, and give that back to the audience. And that is a perfect way to build that level of attention and top of mind awareness. And now you don't need results because you are providing your own evidence. You're providing your own reason for people to believe in you. And that's why you're not actually trapped. You are sticking yourself in that catch-22 box by forgetting as a copywriter that you are really good at getting attention in different ways when you're not thinking about yourself. So back out of the catch-22 box and go into the, okay, how do I get attention of my best person, of my ideal client, or the type of client that will pay these types of fees? And if you don't know the answer to that, you need some market research, and you just go down and do your copywriter thing. That's the logical answer. I'm giving them a step-by-step. I'm giving them logic. I'm giving them reasons and expectations and things like that. This next one, Thomas says, when do we want to exclude the readers if the product isn't for them versus trying to turn them around with logic? You can do this as you go if you actually kind of want to get readers to peel off. Um, and but you do this very directly in the offer stack. Unless you're really, really, really clear on exactly who you don't want, and you're willing to position early that you don't want them, the best place to do it is to get as many people as possible to see the offer first and then sort them. Because more volume in general means more conversions, all things being equal. So the next one, you don't appreciate me, for this type of writer. Again, I kind of already explained that in the context of this avatar, but I'll do it to be complete. You don't appreciate me. You're probably just one of those copywriting gurus who's trying to make a buck off of, new copywriters or copywriters who are insecure, and you don't really care about the, you don't really care about your students. You don't really care about me. And, I've bought products like this before, and the guru wasn't available. The guru didn't help me. So you're not going to appreciate me. And it's a trust thing. So the active answer to talk about trust, again, to quickly reiterate, is I would go down the path of explaining very quickly why their objection is actually kind of true. I like to validate objections if I can. This is another advanced thing, but you can do this if you want. I like to validate objections and then say, but. Or if you're into improv, you say yes, and. So if it's very easy for me to say, yeah, a lot of people who teach copywriting don't really care about their students at all. You're not wrong, because you might just be a means to an end. You might be an easy way to put a bow on a career and sell a product and kind of like rest on your laurels. Maybe they don't want to work with clients anymore and they just want to hang out. Maybe need a quick buck. You're absolutely right. And there are people who genuinely do care about the craft, but they're kind of few and far between. There's an easy way to find out, and that's to talk to the people who bought their stuff. So and to actually talk to them and not just see like a wall of testimonials, because walls of testimonials can be gamed. You should actually talk to people who've taken certain programs. Some people have a higher risk tolerance than other people. And so if those people have taken the program and gotten good results, you can learn from them. You have the gift of going second. And if once you talk to them, you're going to be able to trust that the program you invest in is actually caring about you, is actually appreciating you. I can tell you directly that that I care about my students, but that I'm selling something. So I'm not inherently trustworthy because I'm biased and trying to get you to buy something, but my students are not trying to sell you anything. So if you want to go talk to those people, there's some people who've made themselves available to talk to new students just out of the kindness of their heart because they loved it. So please go talk to them, see what they think. And then, once you come back and if you have trust, then we can do that. Or if you trust me now, because I've even offered that, we can move on to the next thing. The next objection is I may look like a failure. So again, trying to talk through that conversation of I may look like a failure, with the active answer being timing. Looking like a failure is often a fear of failure, which stops them from doing stuff. And it's a version of this isn't right for me right now, as kind of like a corollary to the prime objection. So let me kind of read out where my avatar would potentially look. I may look like a failure by taking your course. If I take a course on how to sell high ticket stuff, and my clients find out that I'm going through a course to sell high ticket stuff, or if a prospect learns that I took a course on how to tell high ticket stuff, I might look like a failure. I might look like somebody who needs help doing this, and I might look untrustworthy myself. That might be a problem. Or I've taken and failed courses before. Like I've bought courses that try to help me get clients, or bought courses that try to help me sell high ticket, and I haven't completed them. I haven't done those things. Those are two separate objections, but they're, kind of part of the same core subconscious objection of I might look like a failure. If you answer it with timing, then you're giving them not only like a way out from previous failures, but also a reason to not fear failure in this circumstance. The way out is, look, everybody's on their own journey. Everybody is on their own path to mastery, and everybody is on is like learns things at different paces and learns things in different ways. So the fact that you have failed before using other programs may mean that you didn't have the same style, or it may mean that you weren't at the right point in your career. So here's one way to tell if right now you're at a good point in your career. If you've been working with clients and you're able to hit those deadlines, you're able to turn in copy that you're proud of, and you're just not getting the results from them, or you're not getting the prices that you want, you are in the perfect spot to learn how to position yourself in a different way so that the exact same service you're offering now is valuable, more valuable. And the price elasticity of that exact same service, it's one mental switch in the prospect's mind, and your conversations become easier. So this might be exactly the time for you if you fit this criteria. If you've never gotten a client before and you're trying to get a 5-figure client, there's a gap. Like there's an issue between your ability to execute on the basics and to be reliable to the right type of client and the skill set necessary, to get a high ticket client. So it might not be right for you in that timing. The flip side though is if you are, in addition, like the second thing that person is bringing up, I may look like a failure, like prospects seeing me and not knowing about that issue, or like prospects seeing me and thinking that I'm doing something. First off, it's highly unlikely that that they're going to see you taking this program. But even if they did, then, so I could actually go into the first one. It's highly unlikely that they're going to see you taking this program. This is a private program. This is for copywriters, and we don't do that stuff. And as a matter of fact, for these types of programs, we have NDAs. But the other thing to realize is if you don't have an audience right now, if you don't have people following you, if you don't have a personal brand yet, then there's nobody to pay attention to you right now. Even if you were posting, or even if you were practicing and things like that, your audience isn't big enough or doesn't care yet about the thing that you're doing. So there's really no risk right now. There's no risk of failure because you're starting from such a good spot. On top of that though, clients don't really, like the clients who pay good money for stuff, the clients who value projects at a high level don't care that you learned how to sell projects at a high level. What they care about is if you're a charlatan. So if you don't know how to work with clients and you've never worked with them before and you don't know how to deliver your product, and then you charge high prices because you took a course, then those clients get mad and get burned. But the kind of person who's able to do that is the kind of person who is able to kind of lie and manipulate their way into most things. So if you don't associate yourself with that type of thing, and you're just concerned right now with your own ability to talk about your value, then you're not that person. You don't have that problem, which is why it's probably the best time for you right now to take this risk. And because you really don't have the risk of failure. That was a longer one to explain, because fear of failure can manifest in a lot of different ways. But the active answer to somebody who's concerned about failure is answering the timing question around, is this right? Like, am I going to look like a failure right now, or I failed in the past? Like kind of dealing with past stuff or dealing with like present concern. Usually both. Okay. So the fourth one, and I kind of got to move faster on these. I don't have support. Once again, you can kind of lean into the I've taken stuff in the past, or my family doesn't help me kind of stuff. So I don't have the support to take care to do this program. Like every program I've taken so far, the guru wasn't available, and I need that level of accountability and support because I just don't do the stuff. Or maybe it's I don't have support from my family. Like I want to take programs like this, but my wife doesn't trust me because I've taken so many programs before and not gotten the results from them. So I don't have the support of my family or my spouse. Those are obviously kind of like different manifestations of the same objection. And the active answer that I wrote down for that objection being difference from other is showing contrast to some of the options that they have failed at before. I can give examples of that, but essentially what you're doing is aligning it to, I'm trying to think on my feet to do this in different ways to show different examples, because a lot of these objections overlap, and I'm trying to give you contrast and difference. If they're talking about like spousal support, difference from other being, so if you, let's say you have lost the trust of your family, or you've tried other things in the past and it hasn't worked, and therefore like your support system at home isn't very excited about you trying something else or trying something new or trying something different, then you can do a couple things right here. Invite them to a call. Like, I would be happy to have a call with you and your spouse so that we can talk about some of the things that you've done in the past and some of the things that you would need help with if you were to take care of this program. That's pretty extreme, like getting on a call with someone who has that objection in the spouse. But if that's going to convert a high ticket sale, which this is going to be a high ticket sale, I would do that. If I'm trying to do a low ticket thing, then with like a spousal thing, it depends on how low ticket. Like if it's less than $100, I'm probably going to say something to the effect of time, in terms of like time savings. So like you could spend $47 to learn this method right now and use some of the things that I've created for the method, or you could try it on your own and spend 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours. How much do you think your time is worth in terms of like the value that you're getting, or the other programs that you could buy? Like, this is going to be over in 4 hours. You're going to learn a good method. It's $47, that kind of thing. It's the difference from other things, whether those other things are other products or other things are like other things they could be doing, or the contrast between the ROI and stuff like that. CB has a question. Asking a question about what I think about using only bullet points. Yeah, I'll pause for a second and then I'll go through these. So I think it's contextual. I think that it's probably more effective when you're dealing with something like a low ticket product that has a lot of content in it. So a book, or a series of videos and a membership site that are pretty detailed, because bullet points are these little things and their fascinations and interesting factoids and good copy around tiny little aspects of the program or the benefit that they're going to get from the program, right? They're not just describing pieces of the program. They are pitching outcomes based on pieces of the program. And they work really well if you can link the promise of value or the fascinating thing or the curiosity or the secret to a page or to a timestamp. That's what makes bullet copy really effective. You are directly implying that the answer to the curiosity driving thing is somewhere specific in the product. So with bullet pointed copy, like a lot of bullet points, it is it's something that works well for that type of product. The other thing is e-commerce. If you, like, for example, Amazon or even like Shopify e-commerce stores, if the person lands on the page and they know that they're on a sales page for a product or on a product, on a cart page or something like that, then bullet points tend to grab attention faster. So the more bullet points you can put in with better stuff, the more likely they're going to read more copy and potentially get converted more. So that's what I would say about bullet point copy. All right, 11 minutes. Let me go. I don't understand is a person who, this is another advanced topic and I'm not going to go too much detail on it, but someone whose subconscious objection is I don't understand is often receiving information as innovation. So if you're saying something to them or talking about a problem or giving them evidence, but it is increasing the amount of uncertainty that they have, the information is no longer information, which, decreases uncertainty and gives certainty and clarity. It's innovation. It's new to them. So if their objection is, I don't understand, it's because you're overdoing the newness. And all you really need to do when you're overdoing the newness is explain or give examples or kind of like dumb down the outcome. I do that sometimes. And again, it's a little bit more advanced, but I oscillate between like, here's a big concept. Here's what that means in English. Here's a big concept. Here's what that means in English. Back and forth. So when looking at an active answer, more valuable than the other, the explaining things and kind of extracting the information out of that innovation, you are showing distinction in terms of value from other things, either external or other products. And so the example that I could give here is, I just don't understand how content and being a personal brand is actually going to get me conversations. There's so many people who are doing that already. Why am I special or something like that? Or I don't understand how this works right now. I don't understand because XYZ. Like there's lots of reasons why someone wouldn't understand and something is innovative. And if I flip that into an answer, then it's something like, so when I first bring up the concept that you need to be top of mind with an authoritative personal brand in order to attract the right kind of conversations for high-end clients, people sometimes understand that, but other times they immediately go into all the minutia and the detail of how that's going to be done. They try to immediately go, okay, step A to step Z, how am I going to get this done? And it can get very overwhelming and confusing for someone when I make that initial claim. The reason that I make that claim up front is so that I can get your mind working around the concept. And the truth is that when you know that concept, you are better able to execute on the concept in your unique way rather than some specific way that a guy pitches you on doing it. I could very easily say you need to do it exactly this way, and that would make you feel better. But it's more valuable to you when I give you the concept and give you the freedom to take advantage of it in your unique way, because at the end of the day, if that guy's method doesn't work for you, then you're going to be out money, you're going to be out time, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to think it doesn't work at all. But the principle is true, and it's more valuable to teach you the principle and then guide you and be part of the process to come up with your own thing than it is to just give you something easy but wrong. A lot of people will choose easy but wrong, even though they kind of know it's not a good fit for them, because it makes them feel like they understand it better. When in reality, if you have someone guiding you, it's okay to not understand right away, as long as you believe and understand the concept. And if you believe in that concept, that having an authoritative personal brand will create better conversations with prospects and higher value deals, if you believe that, then it's more valuable to you to come into that world and make it your own than it is to believe, or that it is to like think that there's only one way to do it. And then when that way doesn't work, it doesn't work at all. That's one way to do it. Using the more valuable thing, comparing externally or to other products. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Like I said, this is not a cut and dry, you must do it this way. I repeat that a lot, but that objection is also something that I notice in this crew and in any teaching thing in general. Anytime something is innovative and doesn't quite make sense right away, we get this feeling of cognitive dissonance, we get frustration, we get all this stuff, and I understand that. But one of the guys that I work with, good friends with, he calls it an open loop. The better able you are to sit with an open loop in your mind and not close it with the first thing that you see, the better your results are going to be, and it's exponential. So if you have a question about something we're working with here, the answer isn't always just go Google it and pick the first thing you see on Google. Sometimes the answer is, let me sit with this open loop and see what I come up with, and see what answers come up for me, or what other questions or what other clarity comes up. Now, again, a little bit more advanced, but hopefully that makes sense. 4 more, but I got 5 minutes. this doesn't sound safe. Yeah, Braden knows. This doesn't sound safe. Pretty clear. I'm talking about being top of mind and an authoritative brand. That is putting your personality, your business, your brand in public where there is risk to your personality, your ego, and your brand. Just is what it is. So when you're doing that, an active answer to show that is risk versus reward. The whole cost versus need, risk versus reward. Again, I like to acknowledge, I like to do yes and with objections. So I will first acknowledge the fact that being a personal brand is scary for people just in general, but specifically in marketing or in copywriting, there is a lot of, excuse my French, and I know this is recorded, but there's a lot of like dick measuring contests in copywriting. So there is that kind of risk that you might get flack depending on your personality or the places you go into and the type of content that you publish. And that's true. But the need, the reward of putting yourself up for that kind of risk, which when you really think about it is not that risky because it's just internet people, the reward is exponential. A personal brand opens up a ton of opportunities beyond just high ticket clients. It opens up partnership opportunities. It opens up bigger deals. It opens up, speaking engagements and content opportunities and all this stuff. So the reward for a little bit of risk to your ego is massive. That's a good objection for the whole safety thing, because you can try to make them feel safe, but people who are kind of afraid don't react super well to people trying to calm them down and make them less afraid. Instead, the easiest way to do it is to help them face their fear for a reason. You don't have to be like, here's a spider, like hold it, dude. But you can, it's very difficult to convince a person not to be afraid, but it's relatively easy for a person to make a contrasting look on their current level of fear versus like the possible reward. And sometimes it's easy to contextualize their fear. And Tim Ferriss does a good thing called fear setting, where you can take their fear and actually make it bigger to show them that the likelihood of even worse outcomes are either manageable or impossible. So if they think a worse thing than their fear is manageable, all of a sudden their fear is not as bad. If they think a worse thing than their fear is impossible, then they are automatically less afraid, but it's less like direct. That's one way to do it. This doesn't sound fun. So not sounding fun is a person's kind of confusion on the next step to getting started. And usually they need some sort of like excitement or clarity on what's about to happen. If they can see the next step in their own mind, they can start to get excited about it. But if they can't, then handling that objection can be just explaining what they're going to do and kind of being like optimistic about the next step, about the thing. I like to keep that as close as possible to after the conversion. So I like to say, like for my new email masters program, I say things like, you could be done with the core content of the program in 4 hours, and you could be sending messages to potential clients in 4.5 hours. That sounds pretty cool. That whole sound fun thing is like a timeline to their result. That's one way to do it. I don't feel in control here, again, is pretty specific. By feeling out of control, feeling overwhelmed, feeling unclear about stuff is a reason for people to pull back. Those kinds of people want to, instead of like the plan and the excitement, they essentially want to know that there is a structure to the thing that's going on, the logistics of it. Some people in here are logistics people. I would guess that she is probably a logistics person because they would like to know the structure of each section. And not having structure is a little frustrating. But if you can show that there is either a purpose to not having structure or an actual structure that you just kind of didn't discuss, that's going to answer that objection in most ways. And the last one being, I don't feel welcome here. is somewhat correlated to the appreciation thing, but it's actually more like they want to know that you specifically are interested in them coming and working with you or buying your thing. Like you want them specifically, not that you appreciate them, but that you want them. And so the invitation, making an invitation to execute on that, is usually in the call to action, but also in the there's a lot of win, fence, and influence people stuff with this. When you make people feel welcome and desired in a non like creepy way, like come here, give me your stuff. It's more like I would love to have you as part of this program. If you're this type of person, if you're looking for these types of goals, I love working with people like that. I would love working with you. Please come and join us if you would like. No obligation. I like keeping it light. But if you want to go a little bit more aggressive, then you can say something like, I love working with people like you because I just know that once you come into the program, once you're here, once you're part of the crew, then I can help you. There is so much that I can do for you in this circumstance. I just need you to come inside and trust a little bit that I care about you specifically to get this result. That's welcoming. That feels good, right? Emmerich says, or play with the reference group. They want to belong to this specific group. That too, being a part of a group. Again, kind of this whole subconscious thing of being a part or being with that stuff. That's where the welcoming comes from. Because if they don't feel like they're part of the crew, if they don't feel like they are welcome, then they'll ostracize themselves. They're the ones that need to be invited to provide feedback. They're the ones that, you know, extracting the wallflower kind of energy. People who are introverted and feel like they can't really like connect, giving them an invitation is one of the best things you can possibly do for them. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, timeline is done. So that was 30 minutes. Hopefully you got some content, and we're going to move on to the offer stack. There's a full one that I'll explain, and then there's a rapid one that'll be easier to do. And you're going to have 10 minutes to write the rapid one. So I'm going to pause this real quick. We'll talk about the offer stack and then go into the work again.